And what I'm going to do today is to we're going to start with the underrepresented and underconsidered social species, because sociality occurs all the way across the animal phylogeny, and even down into the microbes. And our ideas about sociality tend to centre around a few key focal groups, which are the ones which are the best studied with respect to sociality and altruism and things like that. But and these include things like, you know, the massively social insects, the famous examples of eusociality, animals that live in social societies like meerkats, and cooperatively breeding birds. These are things which receive huge amounts of research and article inches, and even have whole journals dedicated to them, like Insect Socio is an entire journal dedicated to social insects. But is sociality just in vertebrates and bees and ants? No, it is not. It occurs all the way over the phylogeny, and for today's lecture I'm going to just quickly skip through some examples of the less famous examples of sociality and how our principles of the evolution of altruism might apply in those cases. So starting at the most simple forms of life, we see sociality even in microbes, and this Tarnita is a good introduction to what we know and what we don't yet know about social behaviour in microbes. They are being increasingly recognised as good model organisms for the study of social behaviour, principally because in many cases the smaller the organism, the better the model, because they have fast generations, they tend to be more manipulable, and they tend to work better in the lab than kind of more big, fluffy, complex things that you have to do very long-term studies on. For social biology, microbes are really good because they're effectively their whole biology is set up so that they're likely to affect each other, because a lot of their functions occur outside of the cell. Like they'll do things like their digestion and their sensing rely on chemicals that they secrete outside of their cell, and that inherently brings the potential to interact with other individuals that are in proximity. So their neighbours are particularly likely to affect each other with their behaviours in microbes. And so it's a great opportunity for exploring the evolution of cooperation, because you can see individuals interacting on a large scale with loads and loads of different individuals in a manipulable setting. And so you get things like collective hunting in bacteria. These Myxococcus, you can see this is an invading front of Myxococcus, a swarm of them eating a plate of E. coli using collectively produced digestive chemicals. You get things like biofilms. Biofilms are kind of algal, bacterial mats that tend to sit at the interface between two different substrates. So here, the classic example here is from the late 90s and early 2000s. For example, this Rainey paper. Normally speaking, this Pseudomonas bacteria, quite medically significant bacterium, usually floats around in a water column, but when numbers get quite high, the solution gets anoxic, and they suffer. The individuals suffer because of anoxic conditions. But that's effectively solved by a mutant called the wrinkly spreader, which is one which produces a polymer which causes them to bob up to the surface. And and also adhere to its neighbours. So you get this biofilm which floats at the surface of the water, and that basically avoids anoxic conditions. Any bacteria in the biofilm avoid those conditions. But it comes at a cost to the individual, because producing that polymer is costly. So individuals that produce the biofilm are less good at reproducing. So you have a situation where some individuals can cheat and not produce the biofilm, but take advantage of other ones that are paying the cost of producing the polymer. And you have a situation where there are altruists producing the polymer to help the group effectively, and cooperate, and cheaters who kind of freeload on their effort. So there's very, very interesting social dynamics in biofilms of algae, and this Rainey and Rainey paper describes some of those dynamics, and loads of papers have cited this, so you can have a look on Scholar to see that. And then the kind of poster boy for microbial social evolution is the Dictyostelium, the slime molds. And so I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about slime molds here.